as you have questions, Dar. So you probably know, right? I'm Juli Fiocca. It's nice to see you. So I'm the founder of ThriveSpan, and relative to this, right? That's where we trade the shame of knowing and not doing for a thriving practice of nurturing. We want to nurture wellness habits. So move, nourish, restore, connect, and we want those to be sustainable in women's real lives. So the goal of our program of our community is to have women be faster, stronger, sexier, and harder to kill. So that's our frame. That's how we look at things. And the reason why we have you on today, Jen, is because we really want women to be able to turn ideas into action, right? We get a lot of women tell me they feel shamed, or they feel like they're not good enough, or they don't have enough willpower. They have all these things around them because they're not doing all these things, or they're not doing everything perfectly or optimized, or all these.
Like there's never a right answer, right? It's hermetically sealed. No matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so, you have such a great perspective, having your nursing, your strength coaching, all the things you've done in fitness and yoga and all these things in your life. And you teach, right? You have a good understanding of people that come and join from all different directions that just want to go from here to there, right? Not progress over perfection. And so, I really trust you. As you know, I work with you when I'm in Raleigh. I really enjoy that. And Autumn and I really enjoy your classes and your focus on, helping each individual person just level up, right? And achieve the things they're looking for. So what I wanted to do today is just facilitate a conversation with you so that not only the people here, but the people that are would like a recording or might watch this later can learn from you. So if you could just start by telling us just a little bit about you and how you think about strength.
So, well, obviously my name's Jennifer. I started, well, I did tell you I was a registered nurse, and I still am. I do not practice at the hospital anymore. When I decided I was done, I was a case manager at that point. And then sometime after that, COVID happened and some other things. And when it was time where I could have decided, like, should I go back or not, I really wasn't sure that's something I wanted to do for a lot of reasons. It's just made things a lot harder after COVID in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had gotten injured running. I had overdone my training, and I had stress fractured my leg, and I had not been lifting any weights at that point. And that's all good. It happens. Like, there's no right or wrong of this. What I do want to say, framing that, is that everybody's got to start a journey somewhere.
Yeah.
And, there is no like, God, if I'd only done it this way or I'd done it that way. So what? So I overdid it and I stress fractured my leg. Okay, well, guess what? Bodies heal.
Yeah.
What my husband had said to me was, 30% of people who run or do an athletic performance end up with things like stress fractures. So are you just some lady running around outside for no reason, or are you an athlete? And I remember him saying that, we just like crying because he was like, what's wrong with a label? And what's wrong with like calling yourself that? And what he was really doing was just getting me to understand, like, it's okay to be okay with what is happening, like take ownership over what's going on, meaning that it would go away eventually, right? It's just part of what
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I joined a gym, same gym that we go to. I don't know if I can mention that gym here or not, but went there because it said it was an athletic club. And I was like, I walked in the door and I said, with my boot on, and I said, I would like for somebody to convince me that this is an athletic club. Because if it's an athletic club and I have an injury, you should be able to have enough equipment, even if I worked on my own, to be able to figure out, or classes or something to facilitate my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the right person had given me a tour around and did a pretty good job of convincing me. And I wouldn't say like good job of convincing me. I think they were very genuine about it. And I felt it was a genuine space for me to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when, like, I'd never taken any group fitness classes. I was pretty shy.
Yeah.
I'd done too much cardio. I was still hobbling around, going in with a boot on and like a double compression sock. So
Uh-huh.
I really liked the vibe of how communities worked in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I just really hadn't noticed it before because I hadn't, the most gym I had done before that. I know it seems like I've been doing everything, Julie, forever, but I haven't. So,
Yeah.
like in my late 20s, I was like, I'll join a gym because I want to look good naked, and I'm going to
Yeah.
run on the treadmill, and I'm going
Oh,
to play
our
racquetball
members
with
have
this.
said
Yeah.
that. That is
And
better.
I'm
I
going to
want
play
to look at
racquetball with this cute dude because maybe I can boink him somewhere in all this, right? And like, I'm honest, that's like, like I was like an ambush predator. I was terrible, but like that's appropriate at that age. And I was also a single mom, and my kids were gone on the weekends, and so I had some time to myself. So whatever. I
yeah.
also worked midnight shifts, and like so I had
Wow.
stress. So yeah,
Wow.
so I was like doing those kinds of things. So like I didn't really, it's not really like I ever understood like gym communities, but when I got there, I felt that there was good community where over at that gym at Lifetime, and I watched people go in and out of these classrooms, and finally I realized I had spin classes, and I
Mhm.
was like, ah, like 3 minutes before the class started, I was like, "Let me just go!" And so I like ran in there, and like I was terrified,
Yeah.
but I knew it was the one thing I could do where I could be told what to do, and I wouldn't hurt my leg.
Yeah.
So right away, I was still like, I'll just do more cardio. I had no idea. But then, my husband had pointed out, like, hey, like, I bet you if you lifted weights, you wouldn't have so many of those like weird neck tension kind of headache things. And so I started off with like, well, okay, so if I do this,
Yeah.
I should probably, if I work this part, then I need to work this part.
Okay.
And if I
Yeah.
do this, then I better do this because conceptually it made sense being a nurse, understanding anatomy and how one muscle is, there's a friend for every muscle. Your tricep is your friend to your bicep, right? And so there's two sides to every coin on the body. You need to work both sides help each other. And so it just turned into this little thing that spread. Like if I did this side, I do that side. And now we can't skip this side. And I started off with like 2.5 and 5 pound weights. And I was like, I knew better to know that that was enough. Like you don't need a huge amount of weights to get what you need if you are working on a particular thing. Now there are heavy weights for certain things and there are lighter weights for other things, smaller muscle groups, shoulders burn out quickly, whatever. So I started off there, but he was totally right. Okay, I didn't have any more headaches. And I didn't have that tension up there. And what I realized was strength actually created better structure for my body so that I wouldn't do things like stoop. What I can think of now as an experienced personal trainer, what I was probably doing was leaning my head forward,
Mhm.
right? And causing my neck to have a lot more strain on it. But the more I worked on reinforcing good posture
Mhm.
and then building some strength, if you do good posture while you're exercising, it is going to reinforce good posture. The same as if you did it with bad posture, you're just going
Mhm.
to walk away like all the
Yeah.
more kind of goofy, right? So those things were the alleviation of pain in the body, I would say
Yeah.
would probably be the start of that, right?
And
And
Jen,
so from
I love
there,
that you're
yeah,
saying that because a couple things that we talk about in ThriveSpan that really resonate with this. One is like picking the thing that works in your real life, right? So
yeah,
going somewhere and trying it, see like, does this fit in my life? Right? Oh
right
wow, it does.
there, yeah, that
This
for
is a
me
match
was
for
fit,
me.
right?
Right.
Like,
It's a good
and it
fit.
all started off with like, I have
Yeah.
a stress fracture in my leg, but the time I picked up weights was because I wondered if it would help my shoulder stop having
Yeah.
knots in it.
Yeah. And guess what? Your
Yeah,
physiology helped you keep doing it because your physiology was like responded positively. So then
well,
it makes
I had a
it easy
positive
to have
feedback,
it.
right? I got rewarded, right? So
You got
the
rewarded. Yeah.
reward matters. And so like your brain is wired for reward. And
Yeah.
there's a reason why companies out there kind of play with us the way they do because they know how that reward system works. And so it's important to take control of your own reward system before
Right.
somebody else does,
Yeah.
right? You're going to need it in one way or the other. So it better be you and not somebody else. And so like then that also spread to things like, oh, I wonder if my lower back would not bother me. Right. And the more I learned about that, it's like, well, if your glutes are stronger, your lower back is likely not going to hurt because then your hip flexors are not being used for everything, yanking everything forward. And
Yeah.
then it was like, let's work on core. So I worked my way basically from the top down.
Uh-huh.
And then I did end up in the rack area where you and I end up with
Yeah.
barbells,
Yeah.
heavy shit, right?
Yeah.
And the first time I went over there, Erin was over there, and you know Erin from the gym.
Mhm.
And I literally hid behind her because I didn't know how to use a rack. And we
Uh-huh.
laugh about that now because
Yeah.
this was only like 4 years ago, right? And
Wow.
we crack up about it because
Yeah.
she was like, hilarious that you hid behind me like I knew what I was doing, right? And she's been
Right.
teaching group fitness for years.
Yeah.
But she's not like a heavy barbell type of person, not until
Right.
she became more familiar herself, right?
Right.
She's
Right.
she
And I
was in
think it
the
took a
she's
while for women to get comfortable there in many spaces. We just like you
right.
said, I remember back, any kind of I went to a gym, they kind of the gym,
Oh
brings the
wait,
women to the here, do a bunch of cardio things.
cardio's for women and the weights are for the men, and there are still
Oh,
people to this day that'll be like, I wish it would go back to that. Well, why? you know, and it's not the women saying it, it's these like tantrum throwing men. And I'm like, why can you not share a space? You know, like that's crazy. And that's here to stay now. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
You can say whatever
100%.
you want. It's to stay. And I would say, as much as there could be there are negatives, pros and cons to everything. And, you know, CrossFit has an intensity that is, it's not like everything else, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes people will describe like, oh, I'm not feeling it's like puke in the bucket, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's not good, right? But at the same time, I it's put more barbells in people's hands and made it a familiar mainstream object in a way that it never did before, and it put more women together in groups with other women
Mhm.
and with around other men, and not to be intimidated by them at all,
Yeah.
and to cluster together as a community to work around a barbell.
Yeah.
Like, and for that, we can always be grateful for, no matter
Mhm.
what happens to that, what, you know, however that model continues to evolve or change. CrossFit really created that. I would
Yeah, that's
definitely
a
give
really
them a
good
lot of
point.
props for that. And
Yeah.
so because you see that at the gym now with, you know, like the classes that you take,
Mhm.
and those are kind of sort of in that same like strength and conditioning build, but
Yeah.
we're going heavy barbell. And so it definitely found its way into like different formats, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, then women feel powerful and strong and confident. I mean, what do we know to be true? Confidence comes from doing.
Yeah.
And that confidence of being physically capable translates into other areas of your life, right? So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you know,
I
we
think
think
the whole
about
time you're really detangling the nervous system, right? So, you know, people are I feel like when I do personal training with people, especially when I do personal training, because I think it's got the sacredness of being so one-on-one.
Mhm.
Um, I don't expect anybody to like share personal stories, although they do at times, right? And that's okay. But I think that while they're making those movements and doing those things, they are quietly in a nonlinear fashion without it being put together in some narrative that somebody else is going to approve of. Um, Picking up pieces, detangling traumas, working through things to build confidence. So yes, the physical movement, it's like play therapy, and I don't want to talk about it like it's like for children. It's not. I think play
No.
therapy applies to adults. This is an adult recess, and
Yes.
it's structured very differently with a different kind of leverage on it. But it is kind of a therapy of sorts in which you're making this physical movement pattern. That's true of yoga as well. And the breath applies, and the focus is there, and the intensity is there, and all the while in the background there are things working themselves out quietly and sacredly that are none of my business, and they don't have to be. But I do know confidently that I'm helping that person with whatever it is that's going on in their life, whether they share it with me or not. And I don't need them to. And I
Yeah.
think that feels like one of the most rewarding things is because
Mm.
I definitely don't need to know or be validated for it.
Yeah.
I just know it's happening for them, whether they even know it's happening or not. I think it is
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And
I
probably
think
your experience as a nurse, that probably really comes through because you're accustomed to reading people's body language and pain
yeah,
and all the different things that are happening within them.
yeah, yeah,
And you can
yeah.
see that transition over
But
time.
I think too, it helps like the difference between sitting with a therapist and
Mhm.
actually like, you know, going to yoga, picking up a weight or getting together with other people and like the sense of like, but we need something to do. It's not just yapping at each other. We need something to do with it.
Mhm.
A goal in mind. I think I think that really helps with all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. Are there, speaking of people coming in and having either new experiences, are there, and I know, I think you made a comment to me that, you're not in social media all that much, and I don't blame you.
I should do a better job. I really
Well, I don't
should.
know if you should or
But
shouldn't,
I'm
but for
so
sure,
it
but for
just
sure
doesn't.
would be,
I don't mean to be like it doesn't matter because I spend time on there too, looking at cute things and videos. But
oh,
like, oh man,
it makes me wonder, are there myths or things being propagated right now that you would like to be like, like everyone might think this, but there's another way to frame things or myths out there that you would want to bust?
well, the first thing that comes to mind is the one that everybody thinks about, which is that bulky business.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't want to get bulky, and I'm like, to me, I'm like, my first thought is, I don't want to be like, well, that's hilarious because it's not. It's really not funny. It's obviously everybody is like you're hoping your body is going to look in the way that you want it to. So, like, address the first of all that anybody is trying to say is, I just want to look the best version or my favorite version of myself, and I don't know what that is. And I'm scared if I do something, I don't really have control over what it is, and I'm going to do it wrong. So then there's this idea of being bulky, right? So
Yeah.
first, I don't want to like poke fun at anybody that says that just because it's not right. But it also doesn't mean it's right either. Like,
Yeah.
not making fun, it's also not right. It needs to go away.
Yeah.
Because like if I showed you a Formula One car and handed you the keys and you got in, it doesn't mean you're suddenly a freaking race car driver.
Right.
You know, you get
Right.
to sit in it, but it didn't mean you had any experience to do any of it. Like it doesn't mean if you pick up a weight that's going to happen. What I'm saying too is that it takes a lot. Like if you meet bodybuilders,
Oh,
they will try with great intention. I mean,
yes.
we're talking about night, day, all, it's not just
Yes.
lifting, it's the recovery, it's the
The
food,
food.
it's
It's
measuring things, it's intensity, it's percentages, it's metrics. And they will try for an entire year so that they won't embarrass themselves on a stage or at least place because they had a goal to place and they won't, or
mm-hmm.
they'll have to skip till next year because
Yeah.
things go, there are variables that happen that will also change the frame of how the training went too. There's things that can be
Yeah.
unpredictable once in a while, but all that to say is you can try
Mhm.
so hard. You're not going to end up bulky. You're going to end up beautiful and
Yeah.
strong. And you're going to have if you do it all right, the best thing you can get out of it is an extremely stable core and posture, meaning that your vertebrae
Mhm.
stays neutral no matter how you move the rest of your body. That vertebrae is neutral no matter how your limbs move, no matter what's happening. Good posture the entire time, reinforced by incredibly excellent exercise and movement. Um,
And how does that
so,
translate for people over time then? What do you see, people become in their when they're 60s, 70s, 80s, having that strong,
um,
like what does that do for people?
well, mostly there's this. So the older you get, the more muscle density you lose, right? So the muscles are not going to be as dense. So you get muscle atrophy basically
Mhm.
versus hypertrophy.
Right.
So you have to work on that because you'll lose volume.
Mhm.
So you're going to constantly lose. I can't remember what the percentage is exactly. I probably should have looked it up before we talked, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And the same thing with bone density. There
Yeah.
is a percentage of bone density, even if you supplement in vitamin D and calcium, and your diet is really great. It's just a natural process of aging. And so, one of the things you can do to mitigate risk for osteoporosis, meaning that your bones become more hollow and more fragile over time because of the hollowness inside, they lose that matrix structure, is things like squatting, lifting
Hmm.
heavier weights, having resistance exercises. Not only will that help develop or at least maintain the muscle mass that you have already,
Yeah.
if not have hypertrophy, because women in their 60s and 70s
I have.
can have muscle hypertrophy. There's no
Mhm.
doubt about that. You can increase it. I have clients right now that are in their 60s that look, a year ago to today, look different.
Yeah.
Are they bulky? No, but they look lean and muscular and tall and
Yeah.
strong, and I'm
Yeah.
really happy for them. And then the muscle, and then, I'm sorry, the bone density, of course. The way you create bone density is by stimulating the bones to make more bone cells. And the only way to do that is supply pressure on it. It's why if you wear terrible shoes, you end up with a bunion on the side of your foot or a hammer toe. Your shoe's been rubbing and rubbing on the side of the foot, and suddenly you got this. It's because that side of your toe was rubbed on and rubbed on and rubbed on to the point that that bone was like, oh, Jesus, I guess we need to make more bone over here because there's a trauma happening in order to
Yes.
strengthen the foot. So it goes wrong, right? But if you lift weights and you're doing them properly, that same situation principle applies. That same physiological change applies, right? So you're going to put pressure on your skeleton, axial skeleton, your vertebrae, center of your body, and then that bone density is going to be maintained or increased. So you can reverse a little bit of osteopenia, which is the
Mhm.
beginning onset of osteoporosis or actual osteoporosis, so that you have less risk of having a fracture.
Yes.
So it's important all your life to be able to do these things, because how else are you going to pick up the groceries out of the car? How else will you pick up a grandchild and hug them? How
Mhm.
else will you, if you went to Home Depot and you grabbed, even 2 gallons of paint, and held
Mhm.
them like a farmer's carry, which is just two things side by side, and
Yeah.
walk out with them strong and tall and not need any kind of help for that, how else will you be able to do that and lift it into your car without heaving it?
Right.
Um, and walking up and down stairs. How
Yeah.
else will you walk up and down stairs? I mean, sometimes people will come to my class and will complain like, "Oh, I hope we're not going to be on the floor. We're going to do this." I said, "How did you get up here? There's stairs to get to this class, young lady and young man. Like, how did you get up?" Like, that's wild talk. Now you came here to exercise and you're like, how'd you get out of your car?
Right.
And I'm like, I only want to help you simply do those things again, because
Yes.
one day you're going to be wishing you had,
Yeah.
practicing getting up and off the floor, back up and down off the floor. It
Yeah.
seems like no big deal until it is.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're mad that you have to get up and down off the floor. And that's about the time you should always try to get up and down off the floor.
Mhm.
Jen, you raised some good points too about there's a certain amount of like appreciating, kind of coming back to this. I'm worried about being bulky or how my body is going to look. And what I've noticed is when I talk to women, there's a certain amount of, especially as people come into the ThriveSpan community, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s. There's a little more acceptance too of like, this is how my body shows up. Like in terms of some people are more athletic, that stuff is easier for them to do, or it's, like in our community, sometimes people
I
have,
think people are just happy to be together. That becomes the thing that overrides that concern,
yeah,
right? The worrying
yeah,
about worrying
Mhm.
about like how people see you or
yeah,
how you see other people is like a game for 20-year-olds.
right,
And I'm not, and that's no bash on when you're in
right,
your 20s, you better be thinking that way because you're working on your ego. You are working on, understanding that that is ego protective, right? And that's a natural, normal thing at that age group.
that's
And what
right.
you have to do is understand it's not the fact that you have one, it's how you react to the fact that you did.
Hmm.
And so you learn from there in that playing ground of how to cultivate being this more wise adult, right? And so
Hmm.
you grow painfully cringy moments
Yeah,
until hopefully you reach that. Now we have met people that are in our age group where we're like, oh my God,
yeah,
but not usually, right?
yeah, yeah.
Most of us feel that sense of energy, that connection becomes far more important,
Hmm.
far, far more important than whether or not somebody did more or less than you or
Yeah,
how they looked or how they showed up. You could care less. You're just happy to
yeah,
see them.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And it's like a happy byproduct of those things to look good and feel good. But I think even some of the things you described, like being more, have great posture, like these are all things that help you present as a
Yeah.
confident,
Oh,
calm person.
standing tall, right? So I had a client for example, the other day, she's just starting off with me and she is tall. She's taller, I don't know how tall she's, maybe 5'8", 5'9", but
Yeah.
she's tall for a woman. And I watched her do the deadlift, like it was trap bar. And I realized she wasn't standing all the way up.
Ah,
And I was like, I said to her, stand as tall as you actually are. And
yeah,
the way she stood up and like that space was forward. And she did for a moment look like this was not a comfortable space, but she
yeah,
had like a little bit of a smile on her face. She looked a little hesitant. And
yeah,
I said, it's okay to be uncomfortable, but I need you to be your entire size. I need you to
yeah,
be your entire size. And it's okay to take up space. And of course, what is that going to do? It's going to give her a really strong force production on her deadlift. Like,
right,
and
right.
that's like my need for her to do that. I realize I'm helping her with something else because women tend to shrink themselves into smaller spaces because
Hmm.
it's easier than dealing with the drama of what happens when you don't.
Hmm.
Because there are repercussions for that we are become it becomes very uncomfortable, and it's okay to avoid it's okay to avoid. My son's like showing me hamburgers right now.
Love
I
that.
don't know why. Sorry, I was like, I don't know, eat it. Um, um, but yeah, so anyway, like we learn to make ourselves smaller, and so the for somebody that's really tall, and you can even notice this of guys too.
Yeah,
Teenagers, especially, they learn quickly to make themselves smaller to accommodate their friends and peers
yeah,
because they want to fit in. And so you learn at a young age how we fit in to the detriment sometimes,
hmm,
right? So
hmm,
it does, you'll see it in people's posture. You'll see it in men and women, but women especially. And so my goal, I always tell everybody I work with, if there's nothing else you get from me, I will make sure that your posture is as tall and as neutral as possible with the best structure. Because if you do these exercise with poor posture, I promise you will reinforce bad posture. But if you
Yeah.
do it with good posture, I promise you will reinforce good posture and you will stop thinking about shoulders back and down. You will stop thinking about
Yeah.
heart space forward, head held at a neutral position high. You'll stop looking down while you're walking because you'll realize you've practiced now walking upright while looking forward,
Mhm.
increasing your proprioception also, right? So like
Mhm.
proprioception is knowing where your body is in space and time, which means if you're walking, do you necessarily have to look at your feet? Not really, because they're connected to your ankles. They're not going to take off without you. And
Mhm.
I know that sounds ridiculous to say,
Yeah,
but I do remind people, like I've seen you when you've squatted with a barbell on your back. And I think I've even said to you, like,
that's right.
gaze
Look
forward.
up. Right.
Trust me, your feet will be exactly where you left
They're not
them.
moving.
They're
Right.
not going anywhere. They're attached to your legs amazingly. And like, what a
There's a lot of weight
miracle.
on your back, so it's not going
Yeah,
anywhere for sure.
thank God it's not going anywhere. And the more you look forward, the less you're going to lurch forward. The bar
Mhm.
path is going to stay
Right.
vertical, the bar is a mirror image of your spine, right?
Yeah.
So if the bar is going up and down in a straight line, that means your vertebrae is, which means your core is the most likely engaged it's ever going to be while you're with that weight. So control, right?
Yeah.
Confident control over said object, which is now in a relationship to your body. Said
Speaking of this
control over
then,
everything that's in relationship to your body, right? In your
yeah.
environment.
Yeah. So you're speaking about, form and how that will contribute to either the outcomes you're looking for or, potentially not doing those things,
Reinforcing the ones that showed
injury or right,
the issues that
injuries.
happened already, right? Or
Yeah.
that showed up.
So how when people do you recommend, or what do you think about, or, I'm wondering how you might frame things like the importance of having some type of coaching or reinforcement or someone helping you with how heavy enough, or, these
Yeah.
concepts of periodization or,
Yeah, yeah.
progressive overload
I
and
was
all
thinking
this.
about that earlier
Yeah.
because when you
Yeah.
had asked me about that, I was thinking like how to say that because
Yeah.
there's not a one size fits all. And
Right.
yet there is a formula that can be used for everybody, right? Like periodization is in three phases and it like just to not to get all technical about it, but
Yeah.
basically for 3 weeks you do something up to a certain level of intensity and you back off on the fourth week, and on the fifth week you pick up where you would have left off had you just kept going on the fourth week.
Hmm.
And so you don't like dial back to week one, you go to week five as though week five was week four,
Hmm.
and then you keep going, but you need a deload week,
Hmm.
so that your nervous system can settle the hell down because your nervous system is like body keeps score, right? So it
Right.
knows you're basically, this is a controlled injury. That's a whole exercise. It's controlled injury, right? So that
Yeah.
your immune system, your body, your physiology goes, oh, we need more muscle. Oh,
Right.
we need to amp up to protect this body. Oh, okay, we need to recycle things back to the liver to make more ATP and energy and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. And so you need that deload week to take kind of like the crisis mode out of the body and then reset so that you can approach it again. So like that's periodization is one form, right? Other things to look at. I love
Real,
percentages.
real quick on that. So would
Yeah,
you recommend so people that are first starting, usually when we do things, having it work in people's real
yeah,
life, just start doing stuff is, you
yeah,
know, and we usually talk about having some way to get some kind of coaching or feedback.
yeah.
At what point does someone know they need to do more periodizing? Is there a certain
Well, so the
or is
issue
it
is
always
like,
the
so
same?
what I recommend
Yeah.
for people, this is hard because like if you're
Yeah.
on your own just doing stuff and you're following there, now I'm not saying there's plenty of good personal trainers and people on social media that
Yeah.
will give you really good things, but it's like out of context a bit, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
you see people trying things and there's nothing wrong with being like, let's try this, but like with no framework to go around it, you're right. It's hard to know what's enough.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not even like a right or wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with first starting out and being like, you know what, I'm going to let go of the idea of did I do enough or not. I'm just going to do. I
Hmm.
need to do
Hmm.
first of all, and I need to let go. I need to let go of some responsibility of my expectation. If my
Hmm.
expectation is I have to do it perfect, I have to find the right weight, I got to be in the right position, I got to do this, we got to pick one of those. We have to pick one. Like, how about we just I saw this guy do this thing, or I saw this woman do this thing. all I want to do is be able to finish the amount of reps. I don't care what weight it is, even if I don't do the same weight as that person.
Mm-hmm.
And now like if they did, if there's bad posture and things like that, that's like another piece that's a little bit more. A lot of people have bad posture. I
Ah,
feel like if you're going to do something, just give it a try, right?
yeah.
Um, if it's coming from a place of like, I just don't know it all, but I'm not wanting to afford or can't afford, or I'm skeptical of personal training, then you find a place that has group fitness.
Yeah.
It's going to be more cost effective. You are going to meet a lot of people, and you're going to meet somewhere between 20 and 40 people, maybe 5 to 20 to 40 people, right? Depending on
Mhm.
the size of the place you go to, or if it's a boutique gym or something,
Yeah.
or it's a little, group that you found on Facebook or something like that. And that's a place of like, will you always meet people that are going to perfectly align with you? No, of course
Mm-hmm.
not. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But you
Yeah.
need to give yourself a chance, even if you walk away completely annoyed. You're like, "Ew, I didn't like anybody in this group." Well, okay. Well, too bad. You know what? That's life sometimes. That's
You
okay.
try something
I
else.
wish
Yeah.
you had met somebody you really liked as a best friend too, but like, did you go and try? Yes. Will you do it again? I hope so. So, like in groups, at least you have somebody that can guide you as an instructor. Now, can they spend oodles of time with each person? No, but they are going to demo everything, and
Right.
you will look at others around you, and the others around you will also give you a mirror, so to speak, to look
Mm-hmm.
at.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a group fitness classroom, chances are there are literal mirrors there, and you can look at your posture and get to be okay with seeing yourself move, which is
Yeah.
another big component, right? Not being ashamed of the way you move your body,
Yeah.
and using that mirror, knowing it's actually to your advantage. And then a step up from all that, of course, would be like getting a personal trainer,
Yeah.
and really making sure that that personal trainer understands. I really want to have good neutral posture and a good strong core. And that does not mean I want to do crunches and abs all day. It
Mhm.
means that no matter the literal definition of core stabilization, is the easiest way to explain it is my spine stays neutral no matter how I move my arms and my legs. No matter where they go, this spine stays neutral. It doesn't lean one way or other. It doesn't curve over any of it. It stays neutral.
Yeah.
And then, of course, attached to that is your hip. And you want to make sure that your hip complex, which is all the muscles that go all the way around, butt to front, are being engaged with movement as well. Because that's basically the foundation, hip to vertebrae.
Yeah.
And so if I were to say to anybody, if they were like, what should I say to a personal trainer if I'm just starting out? Make sure that that is intact. The
Yeah.
first thing, because I've seen, and I'm not being negative or anything. Like, this is just reality.
Yeah.
I've watched personal trainers train people, and I've seen that that person's posture doesn't look so great. And my most optimistic thought is there must be something there that couldn't have been helped. Otherwise, that trainer wouldn't allow that.
Yeah.
And
Huh.
because I don't want to think
Yeah.
the other thing, which is
Right.
they just let it
I
be.
don't know. Yeah.
They just let it
It's
go, and they
like,
let it be, or they didn't know better themselves, because
yeah.
everybody has different levels of education too as personal trainers. So there are things like that. I would say that if you go for a personal trainer, you're not sure what you're doing, but you can afford one. I would say that I would want my posture to be stable. I'd want my core to be strong and stable if I got anything else out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I would also probably make sure that, I'm comfortable with my trainer's background.
Yeah. So it sounds like in terms of progressing, the most important thing at what to try things, right? And try an environment, get an environment you feel
Just
comfortable.
try. Yeah,
And then,
there's very low risk in picking up a small weight and trying
yeah,
something on your own,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
most people don't pick up things more than they can unless they're one of these people that are just like weirdly strong.
yeah,
And I have met people like that are just goofy strong, where you're just
yeah,
like, where's that coming from?
coming from. But
And they can move something really heavy out of nowhere, no matter how deconditioned they are. That's a
mhm,
different kind of person. But most people are not going to pick up something more than they can handle. From my experience, people are very conservative about that. They
mhm,
usually go with something lighter, something that looks like they can imagine and envision them handling it.
yeah,
And so I think it's okay to just try something.
yeah. And then as you get more comfortable or you want to kind of elevate, then it's more personal training and things that would give you the opportunity to,
Some kind
ex-
of programming.
yeah,
At least a
expand,
program, yeah. Like
yeah,
there's some good ones out there. Like, for example, street parking is $20 a month.
mhm,
It has videos in there. It was what people used when CrossFit gyms closed during COVID, so you
Yeah.
could work out outside. It takes minimal equipment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like body weight squats, push-ups, lunges, walking lunges, things that would really like would those really translate over into doing things like, I can crouch down underneath my sink without stooping my back and
Yeah.
looking to see, is a pipe leaking? Okay,
Right.
I can pick up something in my garage or in my shed and pick it up using my legs and not my back.
Yeah.
If I needed some endurance and I had to walk somewhere while I'm carrying something or just my body weight, I can definitely do that for like a mile or something. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal, right? So there's plenty of things out there, and those are usually attached to social media communities too of other people that are like-minded, and
Mhm.
that like $20 a month with a bunch of like-minded people, even if you may even meet up people in your area that are
Yeah.
using that program as well. It's how I found out about it,
Yeah.
was from other people using it, and I think things like that are a good way to
Yeah.
go as well.
And now, how do people know? There's a lot of information out about lifting heavy or doing heavy things or light things, or
Yeah.
what is your? I grew up in in an environment of variety. Will always serve you well, but I would love to hear what you have to say.
About like lifting heavy?
Yeah, like if you should lift heavy, lift light. Like, what's the mix of things?
I think people should always lift heavy. I mean, you know me, like you see me, right? So like
Yeah.
to me, I'm like heavier is always better, right? Like basically like if I had explained like, what I like to do, like I personally like to do, my priorities are going to be my Olympic lifts. So that's going to be a clean and jerk and a snatch. All right. So all my lifts revolve around that. So I'm inherently going to lift heavy because of that. Right. um, and I run. So
Yeah.
that's my conditioning piece. I love to run races still. I still like to do foot races. That's fun. I've never tried a high rocks, but I probably
Yeah.
will do one day. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
doing that. Um, when it comes to lifting heavy, that overload is what you need. I always feel like lower reps and higher weight is going to be more effective. So 6 to 8 reps of something is what gives you muscle growth.
Hmm.
Some people will say a little bit more. Some people are fine with it. There's people out there that would argue with me right now. Oh no, it's got to be more than that. I like 6 to 8. That's my life. Okay, so I'm looking at, if I'm doing 6 to 8, I'm also looking for like if I don't know my percentages, meaning off of what my one rep max is, the most I can lift in one rep with
Yeah.
really good form. I'm going to go with perceived effort or perceived exertion. So
Hmm.
on a scale of 10, how does that feel? Heavy is 8. Okay. Well, if 8 out of 10 is heavy, then, if I'm going to build muscle, maybe I want to do 7 out of 10, but I want to do higher reps at like reps of 6 to 8 or maybe up to 10, but I'm going to do shorter sets, maybe I'll do 3 sets or 4 sets. I don't think, I think lifting heavier with less volume, meaning less
Hmm.
reps, is more effective. If you're
Okay.
trying to get stronger, you're going to go with even lower reps and higher weight. So we're talking like 8 and 9 out of 10 in perceived effort.
Yeah.
And then doing, like you'll do, like 4 sets or 4 to 6 sets of like 2 reps a piece. And that doesn't seem like much until you go to do it and you do it week after week and you realize you've grown strong very quickly.
Yeah.
Within 4 to 6 weeks, you can tell your strength has developed and changed. It doesn't take much. So I'm a big fan of heavy weights because it doesn't take much. Now, you have to have a stable core first before you can do heavy weights. Otherwise, your spine will bend. You'll be picking things up with your back or pushing with your back or
Yeah.
pulling with your back. So you have to build a foundation first, but the sooner you can get somebody, in my opinion, the sooner you can get somebody doing heavier weights, the better off they're going to be because they're going to work more effectively, more efficiently, less time is wasted.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with wanting to work out for like an entire, for like, what if I like whole lots of reps and all this, and I
Yeah.
like lighter weights? That's okay. Then
Yeah.
do that. That's totally fine to do. I think there's something to be said though about doing heavy weights at lower reps as
Yeah.
being extremely effective if you're looking for physiological change. If
Excellent.
you're
Okay.
looking for more than sensation,
Yeah.
you want real change.
Now, Jen, how do you see one of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about variety is around like stability and things like that. Do you use, do you think about stability as you think about strength training, or do you think Like, how does
No,
stability,
yeah, I do. I do.
how does that fit
Um,
in?
So that would be more like one leg movements, unilateral movements, one
Mhm.
side body things. I do like Bosu balls. They're a
Mhm.
little like people get a little scared of them. So if you don't like Bosu balls, then you use like a really small box or something. But I do like things that make you wobble. So
Yeah.
like the Bosu ball, is like a half circle with a
Mhm.
flat side. You can use either side to stand on, and all you got to do is pick a movement to do on top of it
Yeah.
because it's going to create a micro imbalance and that is going to strengthen your stabilizing muscles. It retrains your stabilizer muscles, which are all the little teeny muscles and the things around your ankles, your plantar side of your foot, your shin muscles, all that stuff, and all the little tiny things that you wouldn't even think of. And then just your proprioception, that
Yeah.
ability to know where your body is in space and time, even under instability. I think stability training is basically doing something unstable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the more often that you can practice an unstable thing, understanding conceptually why you're doing not just any old wonky unstable
Yeah.
thing, but like an unstable thing. Like a Bosu ball is basically meant for. It's going to be unstable, but the risk for an
Really
injury on the
falling.
thing is pretty low because they
Right.
designed it.
Right.
They literally designed it. Yeah, like don't like stand on the edge of your counter. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely don't stand on any old thing that looks like this,
Yeah.
like don't be crazy like a little kid, but like pick something that is, a balance beam, something that is shaped like a balance beam is also
Yeah.
a good one too. It's a small surface, it's smaller than your foot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can stand there and do a bicep curl. And I promise that's going to terrify you just enough without actually causing you to have a flight or fight, right?
Yeah.
That you're going to get hurt. So I think doing a lot of speed, agility, quickness drills, things like
Uh-huh.
that, side bounding movements. It doesn't have to be big, high impact. Like skaters don't have to be high impact. You don't have to be slamming into the ground for those.
Mhm.
But any kind of side to side movement, especially if you're like a pickleball player,
Mhm.
most of those people walk out of there with like, oops, I hurt my knee. Oops, I hurt my ankle. Well,
Yeah.
that's what happens when we don't move side to side or diagonally a lot, right? We move back and forth this way rather
Yes.
than this way or this way. And so it's important to practice any kind of, yeah, rotational movements. You can literally make up a lot of things as you're going and just pick like your favorite exercise and do it in a different plane, right? Side to side or rotating or standing on one foot.
Yes. Okay. And from when women like to have a guideline of how many times a week should I try to aim for these things, do you have a rule of thumb that you like to give your clients?
So I tell people that strength training 3 times a week serves most people really well. Um, on the other days, active recovery for like a day is good. I think that leaves us now with so we've got 3 days of strength training. A fourth day could be your active recovery day. So it still leaves you with 3 more days out of the week walking, using this, doing a stair climber or doing stairs outside, walking, light jogging. If you're somebody that actually likes to run a little harder, only one of those days I would do more intensely, one or two of those. But like doing any kind of what we'd call like a comfortable cardio zone or a zone 2 cardio, steady state cardio is
Mhm.
perfectly fine to do on 3 of those other days.
Mhm.
So I usually recommend people 3 days of strength. If they're just starting out on strength training, I like starting people out on two and in hopes to see them do three,
Mhm.
and in hopes eventually even to see them do four if they're depending on what their goals are.
Yeah.
And having 2 days, 2 to 3 days of some kind of cardio conditioning that's not overwhelming.
Okay.
Just enough to shake. I think the cardio piece is important. Now, some people will be like, don't do any cardio at all,
Mm.
or do really little cardio because they want the pump from the lift.
Ah,
There's this weird myth of like, if I do cardio, I'm going to lose my muscles. No, you won't. I
yeah.
literally have ran marathons and half marathons and have
Yeah.
PR'd on lifts.
Yes. Yes.
I push the
Yes.
edges on things because I also go by percentages,
Mhm.
right? So I go by percentages, not what ifs, what will happen. I go by the edge of the percentage. So my training is a little different than a lot of people, but I do go by numbers, and so I will push those edges. So no, that's not going to happen. What ends up happening is, if you do some cardio on those other couple days that feel moderate to comfortable, it will shake out all the stiffness and
Mhm.
all the aches and boo boos
Yeah.
from having lifted the weights because lifting weights does make you
Tear
stiff.
it down. Right. Well, it's
It's
going to
why
tear it.
people will say, I can't do yoga and be bulky or straight. You're like, yes, you can. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But you need to shake your nervous system out. You need to let go of some things because there is a buildup of like lactic acid in the body.
Mhm.
After lifting, things get stiff. Recovery is super important. Recovery is not just, couch rotting or
Mhm.
like when you go to sleep. Like that's not enough. That definitely doesn't count as just recovery. It's only a component of just physically resting.
So two
So
things
yeah, I
on
hope that
that.
answers your question.
Yeah, you mentioned so having one day of the cardio being more intense, so intervals or something more
Yeah,
structured is
some
what
people
you're
really like that. Like I know you like to do interval running too. I do too.
saying.
Like I love to go out to the track, or to get on a treadmill and do, like 40 seconds
Right.
on pretty intensely, and then take maybe a whole entire minute off, depending on how high that intensity went. If it wasn't terribly intense, then maybe I'll try a 40-20 for 3 rounds, which is,
Yeah.
40 on, 20 off.
Mhm.
Or I'll go with distance. Yeah, maybe I'll try to, run a really hard 200 meters and then, take 1 minute off and do it
Yeah.
again. So yeah, some people
Those things work
that's
out.
not, and that's not for everybody, right? It doesn't have to be. It
Yeah.
really doesn't have to be. But some of us like that. I do know that there is evidence-based practice or evidence on that publications that will show that there is consistent release of growth hormone over sprint work.
Yeah.
So sprint work does cause growth hormone to be released. If your growth hormone is going to be released, it's going to help with recovery, repair, muscle growth, etc., testosterone release, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed,
So,
especially among women that have been athletes, seem to really respond well to polarized cardio training.
hmm
You've
yeah,
got some when you're easy, and when you're hard, you're freaking hard. So,
yeah. Yeah, and both count. Like you can't go hard. I mean, you could go hard all the time if you want, but most of the time the magic is in that easy
yeah.
piece, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to, in order for that easy piece to be beneficial to you, you have to have the hard side. You have to have the hard edge to it too.
Yeah.
So it's like two sides of one agenda, right? Like you have to have, it's a relationship. You have to have one to have the other, or else it will just be one-sided and you won't get the benefit you're looking for. You'll
Yeah.
just be comfortable is what will happen. You either become too comfortable traumatizing yourself or you become too comfortable feeling physical comfort, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's just which one to you serves you better. If you're somebody that, there's a reason why endurance athletes correlate a lot with people who have survived a lot of trauma,
Yes.
you know?
100%. I do
We
know.
are really, really good at putting up with a lot of shit. We just found another way to do it in which it's in our territory to
That's
put
right.
up with such
And
shit.
it's socially approved.
You either put up with shit because you chose it or somebody else chose it for you. And I'm
Yeah.
damn sure gonna pick my own.
Right.
You know? Yeah. I think we've all been through something, right? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, and it doesn't, the thing is, trauma, it doesn't have to be what you see in movies, right? Or
No.
what you read in a
Yeah.
book.
Right.
Trauma, like if you go through, if you do like some therapy, like there's different modalities of therapy out there just other than talk therapy, but some people have found, like I had a friend say to me, I didn't know this one thing was that big of a deal, but apparently it was.
Yeah.
Once he put his bias aside, right? He was like, once
Yeah.
I put my bias aside, it's how I perceived my own experience, which is
Yeah.
wild to say, right?
Yes.
Like your experience is a bias, but like you could step aside and breathe
Mhm.
and stop being so reactive to even your own life and go, shit, I
Yeah.
really need to give myself credit for what is important to me. It doesn't fucking matter what
Right.
anybody else thinks is important. And it almost doesn't even matter what you think might be important because you were given a narrative at some point in
Yes.
which to function through life. And you
Yes.
either are going to continue on that narrative, which is okay. Like it's an operating system, right?
Uh-huh.
We grow into new operating systems. If you think of it like a sentient computer, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to
That's a good way to put
be
it.
able to upgrade your operating system and let go of some certain things, right? It's like
Yeah.
defragmenting. Um,
Kind of on that same vein, you mentioned quickly around recovery, and that's not just sleeping and couch
oh God,
potatoing or something.
yeah,
Talk a
it's
little bit
definitely
about
not just couch rotting. Yeah,
couch rotting.
my
That's
kids
what
like
you
to call it couch rotting and bed rotting, which is so. I'm like bed rotting. Y'all are nuts.
So besides, yes. So talk to us a little bit about like what you see to be effective ways to recover, to come back, because of course
Yeah,
when we're working hard, that stimulus is breaking down tissue. We know this,
yeah,
right? So the strength improvements come in that recovery where the tissues
yeah.
repair and become
Well, and then,
stronger.
and the older we get, the
Yeah,
longer, and I hate to even say it myself, it's true though, the recovery takes longer,
yeah. We're not
the older
producing as
you
much
get,
human growth
right?
hormone. Right.
Yeah, it's just part of aging. And so your recovery is really important, and the quality of your recovery. So, like we said, like we're making jokes about couch rotting and bed rotting, and basically sleeping or just, physically sitting and doing nothing is only this really small component of being able to recover. So, the rest, besides that physical rest, is going to be your nutrition, your hydration, your electrolytes. I
Hmm.
think electrolytes are a big component. Now, whether you use electrolyte drinks or packets or you find it naturally in foods, right? Like
Yeah,
things that actually have salt in it or things
yeah.
that actually have potassium or magnesium, you actually need a lot more than what most people think. So, like, like some people are like, well, I had a little salt. No, actually, about 4 grams of salt a day for somebody that's highly active will
Yeah,
serve you well, because otherwise you're going to have brain fog and leg cramps.
yeah.
um, your magnesium needs to be at least 600 milligrams a day or a little bit more, especially if you're highly active. But 600 will serve you well so that you sleep well at night. You don't have restless legs. I always think of magnesium as like it smooths things out.
Hmm.
And the same with potassium. It's got that same function for your muscles to not have those terrible, twitchy, shitty feelings. Plus, there's brain fog that
Yeah,
comes with a lack of electrolytes. So it's
yeah.
not just making sure you get enough water or enough hydration from different sources, but
Hmm.
making sure that those minerals are in place in your body, because otherwise, yeah, you feel like garbage. Um, After that, it's like your proteins need to be a priority. Your grams should equal your body weight. Like, so if I'm
Yes.
150 pounds, I want to eat 150 grams. Actually, I want to eat a little more because I know some of that's not going to metabolize. So
Aha.
a little bit extra on top of that. If you're a vegan, you need to know it's not a
Really
complete
hard.
protein. You
Yeah.
need to, all you got to do is go on Google and go, I want a list of, all the vegan foods that, like which ones make, if I put which
Mhm.
proteins go together, and then it will
For the
tell
full
you like
amino
these
acid
beans have this
profile.
protein, this has that. And so if you put those together, now you have a complete protein, because otherwise you are full and starving all the time.
Hmm.
If you're a vegan, you're not eating a complete protein. You're literally starving your body while you're still full with calories all at the same time.
Yeah.
You're going to feel bad. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure you hit complete proteins. Enough of it is at least your body weight in grams. So 150 grams to 150 pounds, maybe a little bit more, just to make sure we got it all. After that, your fat should be half the amount of that. So that would be, if you're 150 pounds, 75 grams of fat.
Mhm.
Unsaturated fat would be better than saturated, but you want to hit that mark of fat. Um, there are vitamins in your body that are not water soluble. They need something to pass with it. Fat helps with that. Your skin
Mhm.
needs fat. You need all of that in your body. So it's not something you want to avoid. I know that we went through a period back in the 80s
Oh,
where
didn't
everything was
we?
fat free.
Yeah.
And it was like good intention, poor execution, right?
Right? It was a bunch of
Everybody got
chemicals.
on like, everybody was like, with fast
Yeah.
food being so amazing. And then there was this big campaign and,
Mm.
of like healthy foods and non-healthy foods. That whole fat free thing became a thing. And
Did.
when you don't know any better, you're just going to buy the products and do the thing, right? And like
Right.
that's not a fault of anybody. It just is how marketing works, and it's unfortunate. So you do
But it's
need
a
some
good
fat.
reminder for us for today too, right? To be
Yeah,
mindful.
yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
always tell people like if you see, there's, like what is it, like protein enhanced Pop Tarts, it doesn't mean it's good.
Oh no, yeah, right. Not at all, right.
Right?
It's
The protein.
that's like just because, now everything like is a protein, right?
Right.
Like there, I saw somebody put a reel on Instagram, and it was like they had made it was like, oh look, the Tide has protein in it. It's like literally everything had protein in it, and it's not like you want like whole. The first thing you want to pick, of course, is going to be like whole food
Real
sources,
food. Right.
because you're
Real food.
guaranteed what's in there. You don't
Mhm.
have to worry about whether it's third party tested and how much of this actually is and what are these other ingredients. I don't know the chemistry names of these things.
Right.
And so always you want to try to get as much actual real food in your body first. If you are a busy person, you have to supplement. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just doesn't, it shouldn't be the first thing you go to.
Yeah.
You do it when you have to. Do I
Yeah.
drag protein shakes to work? Hell yeah, I do, because otherwise I don't have time to get it in any other way
Yeah.
when I'm teaching classes.
Yeah. I even find too, like it helps, it hits me faster too. Like I love
Yeah.
having, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
mean, the same with like, if I'm going to work out and I need a fast carb, there's
yeah.
definitely like, basically the equivalent to like cornstarch, right? Like
Yeah.
dextrin.
Well,
I'm
that's
going to use
amazing.
cyclic dextrin and I'm going to chug that thing down in my water because now I've got immediate carbs
Right.
without a sugar crash
Yep.
to help me do my lifts or to help me with some functional training piece or with a run that I have to do. That yeah, oh yeah, I'm definitely going
Yeah.
to. I need it now.
Right. And that's reframing too, somewhat, not that you still can enjoy food, but really seeing it as fuel
Yeah,
and, things that like, this is what I'm using to fuel and nourish my body. And that's its primary
yeah.
purpose and having
Yeah, and
that
I think
outlet.
that like you have to think about it as like I don't not like, oh, I have to eat this. It's like I get to eat this.
Yeah.
I get to eat this because I'm on this journey of like I don't have to go work out. I get to work out.
Hmm.
Like you have to remember, like there are people that have no access to any of this. Like you might not have any access to weight at all, but like if you get to go to the gym and you
Hmm.
get to pick up dumbbells and
Yeah.
like there's literally a designated place in which you can sit here and do this adult recess crap all day.
Yeah.
Like you better be thankful.
Yeah.
You better be thankful because
Yeah.
that's like
It's true.
that's not everybody gets to have that. So like you get to do that. You actually had enough extra income or whatever to be able
Yeah.
to have the privilege to walk into a place and say that this could be a part of my life. Like you
Yeah.
got to be grateful for that.
Yes. Yeah. That reframe is important in seeing, your identity, how I
Yeah.
see myself, you seeing yourself
Yeah.
as an athlete, you said at the
Well,
beginning,
and yeah,
and
and
then,
one and being like at the gym, like to go back to what we talked about initially, when I decided I didn't want to go back to the hospital and I started thinking about I love the gym, okay? So I really loved it. And was thinking about like maybe I can teach something.
yeah,
And I really started looking at it as preventative care.
yeah,
Like, it will still scratch the itch as a nurse to be able to advocate for people, to
mhm,
empower. I loved empowering people.
mhm,
I love giving people the knowledge they need to feel like they're in control, which is why I do a lot of like explaining why we do this, or,
yeah, yeah,
this is what this is for. And this is it. Because I think giving the person an explanation as to why they should back squat
yeah,
and how it should be done well is better than them memorizing the movement. It's like
right,
anything, like having information is a shortcut versus being explained to the why is the shortcut instead of having to have rote memorization to things. Like rather than just going through the motions and being performative, like own the whole entire thing. Um, and so it feels like a thing in which I can still scratch that itch of empowering people, advocating for people as though they were patients, but this is really the preventative side of healthcare. And I
mhm,
say that with all I promise you, I've seen things.
mhm,
Like if you think you're having a bad day, but you walked into the gym or you got to go to the grocery store or you got to see your friend or you got to sit alone for the day or whatever you got to do, you weren't at the hospital covered in tubes and
yeah,
fighting for your life to breathe or having, worrying about the bewildering staff around you and wondering if they remembered that you were somebody's mother or sister or the
yeah,
cousin of somebody, while they're, like dealing with you as part of their shift. You hope that they still remember that you were a human being. Like there's so many factors, right? Everybody's very stressed at the hospital,
mhm,
very stressed. And people do sometimes forget like putting things in perspective, how to stay soft in hard situations,
Mm,
right? Keeping a
mhm,
soft edge to your life
yeah,
mhm.
can be very hard to do. And it's why we have to practice being very forgiving and loving kind to people.
yes,
So if you are walking around in your life and not having to be in these very difficult situations, you are in a preventative care space in which you have control of your life. I would take advantage of that.
yeah,
I would share that with others by not necessarily even talking about it inspirationally, but getting side by side and lifting a weight, getting
yeah,
side by side and getting on a treadmill, getting side by side and doing a yoga class. Like that's the way you quietly communicate to somebody else you're grateful to be in their presence without making a
Huh,
big ass deal out of it.
what a nice
Right?
thing to
You
say.
don't have to. You don't even have to talk to anybody, right?
mhm,
Like your spirit knows. that
You're
you
bringing
did
the
that.
energy.
And you know what? They know that too. You don't have to say it out loud. Nobody has to. You can keep your quiet dignity to yourself. You don't have to share your whole entire story. There's no need to. If you want to overshare, you can, or if you want to share, however you want to look, you don't have to, though. I promise those things are happening whether you say them out loud or not. So I think it's a way to practice gratitude every day.
That is lovely, Jen.
That is beautiful.
Well, thank you. I really do. I do see it that way. I really do. Because
Yeah.
there
And
was a
that
time
doesn't,
like, I
yeah, it's
feel
a
like
good one to
there's
remember.
definitely times I took advantage of or took for granted. Like, like I told you, when I was in my 20s, late
Yeah.
20s, like I just want to look good naked and like blank this dude. And you know what I mean? Like that's crazy
Right.
talk. But that's normal to be kind
We
of
had to go through
selfish and
that.
petty in different spots, right? It's perspective and wisdom and growth, and then understanding how to be kinder to yourself. Like it's not kind to yourself to be like, I'm going to walk around like an ambush predator and, pick up my racquetball partner is not cool, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not a way to treat even yourself. Like you deserve, like I could have deserved better than that if I'd been more patient, not so abrupt with myself. Like that's wild talk, right? So we just grow. We have to grow into remembering who we are. And who we are from the beginning is always a very loving, kind being, right? And so we just got to find those places again because the world is full of hard things.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah.
And
So
physical
we just try
activity
to
is a great.
translate back into softness by doing
Yeah.
things together that are
Yes.
difficult.
Yes. And then that, and that does it. It brings it back to that whole, like, the experience of doing this is bigger than just the little nugget of the
Yeah.
thing.
And you don't even need to know what the bigger is necessarily. Just get on the path and do the thing.
Yeah.
Just do the thing. Don't worry
You'll
about the
feel
fact that,
good about. Yeah.
you don't
Well,
have to see around every corner, right? There's blind spots everywhere. You don't have to. What you do need to know is how you felt about it, because that's all you're ever going to remember. You may
yes.
not remember any, you know what I mean? You won't remember, like, as you're growing up, you don't remember half of what anybody does, but you sure remember how they made you feel.
Right.
And you will remember how you made yourself feel too.
Yeah.
You will always remember how you felt in all the moments, and you'll only have yourself to be accountable to for those feelings. And so just pay attention to how things make you feel. If it makes you feel good and the alignment feels like it's your whole person and not just a part of you, keep going in that direction. You don't have to know why.
Yeah.
The why will come.
Thank you, Jen. That is
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you so much
It's
for
okay
spending.
to, like, it takes the seriousness out of it, right? Like, you
Yes.
don't have to have every single answer. And I think women are posed to feeling like we've been taught and trained that we're supposed to hold the space for every goddamn thing, everything. And we have to know the answer to everything. And we have to know how all this, and if somebody else doesn't, they're looking at us, but for like the thing. And like, you could give yourself a break and say, like, if I had to just pick one of these things, I think how I feel is probably going to be the most intuitive way to navigate my life.
Yeah.
And maybe I can just ease up on the other things without feeling like I was irresponsible. You can't be irresponsible if you go with how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, Jen,
Yeah.
thank you so much. This has been a wonderful
Yeah.
conversation with you.
Yeah,
I
I never,
appreciate
like I said, Julie, I never get to talk to you. No,
Well,
seriously,
now
I
we
see her at the
started.
gym. We
Oh,
see
now
each
we
other, and it's like almost like passing ships. She can only get me like one sentence out to be like, "What am I supposed to do with this thing?" And I'm like, "You do this with this thing." And then
because
by the
we're
time it's
past.
over,
Yeah.
Autumn is dragging her off to somewhere, and I'm also being off to somewhere else. And Erin and I will talk once in a while. I'm like, I really wish I had time to talk. And then she'll, of course, be like, she'll without saying, "Well, I get to talk to Julie." She'll say it without saying that. And so now I'm like hanging on the edge, like, what did you guys get to talk about? And I'm like,
Well,
so
we'll
I
do it
just,
some more. I'm going to
yeah,
be there for like 10 days in August. So, and I'm bringing my mom.
yeah, let's
So,
go.
all
All
right.
right.
Oh
Sounds
my
good.
gosh.
Thank you so
I
much,
hope you
Jen.
come with too, darling,
I
when Julie
will.
sometime, please.
I wish I were near. I would sign up for you as a personal trainer and get out of
Right.
all of the things you named that hold you
Oh,
back.
Well, you
yeah.
can do them
That
all
is
No,
here.
wonderful. You're
a
the
lot of
complete
people,
package of what I've learned in my life as you
yeah.
presented your gift. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, anytime. I hope you find, if you ever are interested in personally, I hope you find someone that you feel that you really align with, that you feel comfortable with, that, your exercise feels like work, but it has a sense of ease to it,
Yes.
right? Like the
Yeah.
time passes while you do it and you're not sure why it passes so quickly, but you got the work in. That's the person for you. So I hope
Yeah.
you find somebody if that is something that serves you well. I
Thank
wish I
you.
was closer too.
I do too.
I wish I could teleport you here.
Right?
I have a great trading space too, so I really love my trading space.
Oh
Sounds
man.
good. Well, thank you so much, Jen. And I look
Oh.
forward to seeing you in a few weeks. And
Yeah.
I appreciate all the value you've provided today.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you
will,
for taking some time to talk. I mean, these are the conversations I like to have, and I could have them anytime.
great. Well, I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah. All right, Joel. Well,
Yeah.
have a good night. Thank you.
You as well.
I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Jen.